Hey random strangers! Today is a great day because we've got some new Suisei tracks to sink our teeth into. Specifically, we're going to be listening to the latest mini album Overture from Midnight Grand Orchestra, which is of course the Suisei Inotac combo of Stella Stella and 312 fame. As you all know, I thought that Stella Stella was just an okay track. It only had Sui's to die for voice and this thick orchestral backing, which was fantastic. Really great use of polymeter and compositional complexity, and some of the best musical build-ups I have heard in quite a while. I have also given 312 a listen. I've loved 312. I have listened to it multiple times. So in terms of expectations, I won't lie, I do have somewhat high expectations for this album. At the very least, I'm excited to know that it's set to feature the same sort of orchestral backing that we got from Stella Stella. At the same time, you know, I'm open-minded. I have a super wide range of musical tastes, and whether or not this ends up being something akin to Stella Stella, it doesn't matter to me as long as it's, you know, great music. I will also, I guess, now that we're at it, be upfront about my Sui bias. Like, it is so funny because before listening to the album Still Stella, I was like, I don't know if I can call myself a Hoshiyomi yet. I don't even know who this girl is really, except for her massive run-up, the octave in her King cover. And things have changed a lot since then. I actually received Sui's concert Blu-ray, which I haven't watched yet, but actually I do have here. Yeah, I have it here. So I bought a ticket to the MGO Live, which is actually tonight, which is why I bumped this reaction up. I'm in the Hoshiyomi server, which has been awesome. However, I would like to think that this acknowledged bias of mine won't inhibit my judgment too badly. Who knows? I think acknowledging it helps. Yeah, so with that disclaimer out of the way, let's do this. For this reaction, we will be continuing with that ye-old tradition of the musician's drinking game. And in case you weren't here last time, that just means that I will be taking a swig of a single malt Scotch whiskey every time my ears get hit by a legitimate musical or technical wonder of the world. So no fangirl moments, no this sounds awesome but I can't explain why moments. Please feel free to play along. Doesn't necessarily have to be alcohol, and let me know what drinks you guys are having. So I am going to be reacting to the music only first. So I do have Spotify pulled up, and I am aware that there are 2 music videos out for this album, which we can definitely take a look at the end. Okay, track 1, Never Ending Midnights. Here we go. Acapella Suisei with ominous black hole sound effects. It's like We Will Rock You vibes. The stomping and the clapping. Hey, oh, there's our crazy drummer. Hey, and our crazy pianist, the whole gang's here. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. Sui's voice ascending. Oh my god. My god. Oh, this is so dirty. So nice. The strings and the piano just coming down from that previous intensity. Yes, those drum variations. Nice. Hey. Right, finishing out the way they started it. Chills, man. Yeah, I got chills. I do not overstate when I say this, that was akin to like a spiritual experience for me. There are a few highlights from this first track already just burn straight into my brain. There's definitely one or two drink-worthy moments in there, but I didn't want to pause because I was just so caught up in the moment. I don't know if you saw, but like I was just like kind of pushed back by this force, and then I slammed into the the railing behind. Shit. So this definitely felt more like a prelude track than a main track, and it definitely did its job of hyping up the rest of the album. I do notice there is orchestra in the band name, and the album is called Overture, which again in classical music is like longer than a prelude, but is also an opening to a much longer piece of music. Also note there's like a track on here called Allegro, which could refer either to the song itself being very quick and lively, or to the fact that the opening movement of many a classical or romantic period sonata or symphony is often, not always, but very often in allegro tempo. So I do wonder how far they're going to take that classical analogy. I mean, certainly that track was not in classical style. Oh, I just wonder if they randomly picked some orchestral sounding words and just stuck them in there. My hope is, I mean, in suites with multiple movements, you'll find like themes and motifs that are repeated throughout the different pieces in that one long movement and connects them into one coherent whole. And sometimes those themes will take the form of like complicated variations. That's really fun to dig out. And kind of just knowing what a music nerd that Inotac is, I do have some hope for that this album is going to be, there's only 7 tracks, but that it will be sort of a more coherent whole. All right, I'm going to listen to Never Ending Midnights again, and this time I'll pause so we can just chat about some interesting parts. Okay, here we go. Yeah, when it first started, I thought, like, is this gonna be a dark version of Stella Stella? Because there are very similar elements. So it started with a cappella Suisei harmonizing with multiple other Suiseis. Yeah, but it turned out to be quite different to Stella Stella, and I like it a lot. I also love how in this introductory section we got anthem or like arena rock Suisei. But then this next part that's coming up, drums and piano doing its thing, and the strings. Beautiful long strings. Okay, this second section before it went nuts kind of felt like a roll call to introduce the set pieces in the orchestra. So they headlined, you know, the idol diva, Suisei, and then they gave each of the instruments a few bars to kind of shine with their own complex runs and just these musical flourishes, which is very signature Inotac thing to do. And I mean, I say it like I know his work intimately, which I don't. I have listened to all of maybe 3 of his songs. But you do get a sense of Inotac's style, and it definitely feels like this is him leaning hard into that and in a much grander way. Like in my head, when Inotac calls up a pianist to be part of a project, they wouldn't even bother to ask him what he wants from them. They would just be like, okay, how many runs up how many octaves do you want us to do? Oh my god. Oh, so good. First string goes to this freaking insane part. Yeah, I mean, second listen, it's still as hard hitting. So what stood out to me about this section was how it used tonal dissonance to create tension. Here's where the tonal dissonance starts to kick in. Without the use of any percussion or instruments other than these synths and that synth hi-hat, if you can listen. Actually, I think to kind of show the tonal dissonance, I probably have to move to the piano. So maybe just give me a sec. Okay, so we're all set up now. I'll probably just stay here for the rest of the reaction. But yes, tonal dissonance. So for the most part, Never-Ending Midnights stays in C# natural minor, which is this one. But then this part with the synths around here, right, so the synths are going something like that. And basically every now and then it throws in a wrong note. And the wrong note is this one. So this D natural is not part of the scale of the C# natural minor. And so it's very jarring when it appears in these arpeggios. But where is this like natural D coming from? And it turns out that if you listen to the bass part in that same section, the bass section is doing its thing in the subdominant key, the F# minor. So it's like, that's the bass. So there's your D natural. Basically, the bass is in a completely different key, the subdominant or the 4th note of the C# minor, or if it's natural, which is why you have the D natural appearing. However, in a mirror of what the upper synths are doing, every now and then the bass part, which is in F sharp minor, will throw in a wrong note. So they'll throw in a note, and the note was this one. Which is the D sharp. And the D sharp actually is a note that belongs to the C sharp minor. And then while all of that is going on, you have Suisei, who is, well, she sang that last G sharp before everything goes ballistic. So before that. And they just hold that note until, yeah, here we go. She's like turning that dial up at her voice. It's amazing. I thought that was an incredibly convoluted way of explaining the tonal dissonance there. But all you have to know is that Inotac is just throwing things in together, different keys, wrong notes, and that this track is very experimental in that it does not use traditional key modulations to create that tension. It is definitely going the dissonant route. I thought this was interesting, even though I don't know what it means. Yeah, so she sings the sa, and I guess, is that the particle? I thought that was a particle that you use, in Japanese at the end of a sentence to sort of emphasize your point or to sound tougher. I have super amoeba level knowledge of Japanese, so this is something I'm probably going to have to take to the Hoshiyomis over in the server, because they're really good with like lyric translation. If it is what that is, I just thought it was cool how Suisei's like sa just kicks off the really truly badass part of the track. Alright, this is where the dissonance kicks up a notch when they add Sui's backing vocals. Okay, so Sui, on top of the dissonance that we talked about before, so the synths in the C sharp minor with the random dissonant D natural, plus the bass, which is in the F sharp minor, throwing out a random, D sharp. Now you have Sui's vocals. And what she's doing is she's mostly singing in the relative major of C sharp minor, which is the E major. So instead of C sharp minor, we go up 3 semitones, E major. It's a happier sounding key, and she's singing yeah, so mostly that's what she's singing. However, she does sing notes that modulate her to the parallel key of the C sharp minor, which is the C sharp major, because this note, the F natural, is actually a note of the C sharp major key. Yeah, so there you have it. The dissonance gets upgraded in this second part. Basically, it's a cacophony of different relative keys. You have your 2 major keys plus your 2 minor keys mixed together and then amped up to maximum intensity. And I quite like it. Like, I know people who definitely would not like this type of dissonant, experimental track, but yeah, I dig it. Okay, let's keep going. I love this breakdown, just letting the silence and Sui's voice and the softer instruments do their part of like sustaining tension before the drums come in. Oh god, the stopping and starting. I really like that. Yeah, so I appreciated the variations in the drumming and in the rest of the instrumentation really here, because it broke up the sort of like what is a fairly monotonous kind of driving bass line. Like the F sharp minor, the what is it? Sorry, I've forgotten it. Yeah, this one. Like it's fairly, you know, monotonous bass. So it is nice that the other parts get something different to do. And just go all the way to the end. Nice piano run. Whenever these like vocals start up, I just feel like I have entered the sacred church of Suisei and I just gotta pay my respects. Or otherwise, you know, she'll get a big golden axe out. It ends with, I don't know what this sound effect is. I'm assuming it's a black hole. Yeah. Man, I am so hyped to the rest of the songs. Just really strong opening with this track. I'm curious how my conception of it will change with multiple replays. I suspect it'll hold up well for me. I'm also super excited because it kind of teased Sui's capacity to sing an anthem rock song, which I would die for, like if we got one in full, if there is one hiding on this album. And yeah, I'm just really hoping this was just a taste of her vocal prowess in like a harder experimental songs like this. So yeah, if that's what the rest of the album is going to be like, I'm going to be extremely, extremely happy and I'm going to die and go to heaven 10 times. All right, track 2, SOS. There you go. Ooh, I like this already. Very nice runs. Okay, Surin B major. Also liking those very crunchy piano chords with like the soaring strings. Nice singing down the scale with those intervals. Oh, it's like the Singing in the Rain riff. Whoa. Oh man. Oh, there's that fifth interval up. Oh. That was the chorus. Wow. That's beautiful, beautiful strings here, by the way. Okay, I'm just gonna pause here. Wow. I don't know what to do with that chorus. That was like whatever I expected. I was not expecting that. That was a lot of repeated notes. Like it was like so she's singing SOS. So there's a lot of repeated E's. And then after she jumped that perfect fifth up to the B. That's fascinating. I mean, I'm still processing it, but it's I will say that it is not easy to maintain like that same note at that pitch, and also to match the intensity of the instrumentation that was going on there. So I give props to Suisei for that. But yeah, interesting. I'll just keep playing while I process this. Oh, maybe we'll go a bit. Yep, that's a nice deep bass synth to change the tone up with that trap hi-hat rhythm. It's quite a simple melody, but I do like that melodic line a lot because of Singing in the Rain, to be honest. The strings part here is so weird. It's chaos. They're just like modulating one tone up at a time. Oh, more modulations up the scale. This is madness. Oh, Sui acapella. That was nice. She is literally just gonna do this. Nice. There's the sa again. Sa. I have complicated feelings about this one. There are many things I like about it. The production is excellent, and there are so many layers going on simultaneously. The instrumental parts for me were the highlight. I love like all sorts of electronic music, and so to have, I guess, EDM elements mixed in with real instruments and then Sui's voice, that is intriguing for me and results in a solid like vibe song. At the same time, I think the peculiar choice of how they incorporated Sui's voice into that chorus is making me hesitate a little to be like, oh, that was like straight 10 out of 10 song. So, I will analyze the part that I really enjoyed, that really eccentric, heavy string instrumental part that we got hit with, I think, at the first part of the chorus. And then, I guess we'll just go from there because I am still trying to process what just happened. Okay, so I have transposed this crazy string part that I actually really liked. You know what, actually, I might have taken a drink if I wasn't so shocked at where the song had gone. But anyway, so what I liked about this part is the couple of things. The rhythm is extremely syncopated, which causes this constant lurching, perpetual motion kind of feeling. And if I mark the beats of the 4/4 time, the shape or the emphasis and the melody don't align much with those main beats, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. Especially these sets of notes. Just really syncopated. I just made the last few notes up. So that's one thing. Super syncopation. The second thing is like the phrasing of the melody is also quite chopped up. It's abrupt whenever this running melody decides to go back to the B, which is this one. And it does that a couple of times throughout this phrase. So like, and the B, and then chop to the B again. Like it's just it's abrupt, you know, it's abrupt such that it sounds odd to the ears, but it also is strangely fascinating. The B, by the way, is the tonic, so the home note. And then, so besides the rhythm and the phrasing, there are also these constant key modulations of the scale. For instance, here, it starts in B major, the home key, so before modulating to C sharp major. And then in the last beat here, it goes to the D major. Yeah, so it's constant key modulations within notes of each other. So you put all those things together, it really is quite a feast for the ears, which I like. I like it because its weirdness is not overdone and it uses decently interesting changes in tonality and melodic patterns. The build-up to the explosion in sound was also done in a very simple but a very effective way. Other than the normal way to create tension where you introduce the theme gradually and then you also have the instruments come in one by one and then have them build in complexity, there is also a really, really, really long sustained note in the strings that is played throughout the entire verse of SOS. And it's tucked away in the back, but it's loud enough so that you can hear it sitting on that B note, just kind of biding its time until the strings are let loose into the wild. So around about here. This note that the strings are playing. Yep, it's just playing that long B. Still going. Yep, and then here they go. And then they launch into that crazy section. Yeah, it gets me. Having that one note sustained for so long in the background until the strings just burst forth in that huge flourish of, you know, insane runs. That gets me. It's kind of like having a spring-loaded device that is just ready to explode at any moment. The run that the strings do as well was interesting because, yeah, so this starts from the tonic of the B. Oh, sorry. So it actually, it goes from the B up one octave, but then goes past the octave to the D natural. So again, it just lands on a note that is not part of B major, but is a note actually in the B minor scale, so the parallel minor of the B major. I think it's the chorus that I'm torn on, and it'll probably take a couple more listens for me to like resolve my feelings either way. I'm actually kind of neutral. Like, so okay, in this chorus after the crazy string part, you have like Suisei. Yeah, so in the chorus, Sui is more a vocalist turned percussive feature by slamming that same note over and over again with the syncopated like SOS, SOS, while the real melodic action takes place in the synths first, but then mostly like the crazy string part that we just looked at. And which plays underneath. So the synths have the melodic interest here. Yeah, so that transposed part is playing underneath here. You know, I salute the bravery of having your vocalist, your main vocalist, only vocalist, sing 6 to 8 bars of the same note and then repeat again on a different same note. Like, you really have to be confident in your arrangement that it will pull its weight amidst the repetitiveness. And I think Inotac pulled it off quite well. So I think whether or not you enjoy this song or this chorus in particular depends on your expectations. Like, if you wanted more of the vocal ability that Sui teased in the previous track in Neverending Midnights, but she never really got the chance to fully show off in that track because it was just a prelude track. If you expected that, then you would be probably sorely disappointed with this song. Or like, I mean, if you came in expecting it to be another Stella, you know, SOS is not a follow-up to those tracks. It's something completely left of field that uses Sui's voice as one of the set pieces in a multi-set orchestra. And in SOS, you know, what's strange is, like, while she is the main vocalist, her part arguably is much less interesting melodically than what's happening in the strings and the percussion sections. I mean, on the other hand, like, I think if you're here for some well-arranged instrumentals like this, that, not in this section, but in the previous section, this part, crazy string part, like, if you're here for how those instrumentals play with dissonance and rhythmic irregularities to create, like, sort of this cool, fresh kind of vibe, then this is your song. The only reason I'm torn is, like, by the last chorus, you know, the last time she does that long string of SOSs, I'm starting to be like, okay, I don't know how much more of these repeated SOSs I can take. And yeah, it's that's why it's like, you know, I don't know about the replayability of the song, for me at least. Again, it's probably a very subjective thing. I enjoy EDM a lot, and a lot of it is very repetitive. So the thing is, overall, I think if you switch off that part of your brain that's like, oh, I wish there was more motor voice, we say, in there. If you can switch that part of your brain off, then I think this is a pretty good track that is, you know, something you can vibe to in the background, you know. So I feel like the first half of this song definitely felt a lot stronger than the second half, only because there's no real significant development that happens after the first half. Actually, even like the main drop, just like sort of halfway through the song, I like this bass drop, like the change in the tone. Yeah, this drop that's coming up. Yeah, it does the really typical like trap, the fading, you know, I don't know what you would call that sound effect, but yeah, it fades, and then like that kind of drop is very ordinary, and then it launches into a slight variation on the crazy strings because the key modulates up an extra few tones than the previous crazy string part. But that's about it. You know, there's no other development of the theme. So yeah, I don't know. That's why it's mixed feelings for this song. I actually would be really curious to see what you guys thought about it. I imagine based on like how I'm feeling, I think you'd probably have a really diverse mix of opinions on this song. In my head though, like, I love if they released a remix of this song, like just like a soft piano version where Sui still sings the same notes over and over and over again in the SOS part, but she kind of sings it in like a breathy, murderous fashion and then adds like, you know, an eerie vibrato when she slides up to the higher notes. I think that would be an absolute hit. and would make that chorus a lot more tolerable for people who aren't used to Sui being like a one-note singer. Basically SOS in the style of like Ludovico Einaudi, who I thought of because he is an instrumental composer who uses a lot of repeated notes or phrases, but because he uses emotive instrumentation, it doesn't sound boring, it actually becomes quite beautiful. So actually we could try and compose one right now. God. Okay, so she's singing the E. So if Ludovico Einaudi were to compose this, it'd be something like... She goes up that fifth. Imagine like Sui just singing that in an eerie voice. So yeah, repeated notes, I don't know, depends on how they're done. All right, we have switched rooms again. Sorry for running around the house like this, but yeah, it's much more comfy sitting at a desk than at a piano, and we still have a lot to talk about. So where were we? Okay, yes, we were talking about SOS. One thing I noticed when transposing that crazy violin part, not violin, strings part, which made me give extra points to SOS, is that the strings developed a theme that was introduced back in the previous track in Never-Ending Midnight. We should play from here. Just listen to the synths. Da 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 da. I love when she does the sa. Okay. So I have transposed that synth part. Let me just pull it up. So this is a synth part that we just listened to from Never-Ending Midnights. And then I will pull up the bit we were looking at before from SOS, the crazy strings part. So let's see, you see my cursor? Yes. Okay. I will play the synth part from NEM, shortened like Never-Ending Midnights. Yeah. It sounds weird, right? But what is super cool is there is like this little bit is enough to make the point that there are, as suspected, themes that were introduced in this opening track. One could say like the exposition being continued on within SOS, but with more complex variations. A key example, so in Never-Ending Midnights, is this tiny melodic progression. These three notes. So you'll notice it actually repeats itself over and over again in this short phrase in the synths. It also, so that was NEM, it also shows up in SOS, but just in a way more extravagant way with a lot of extra notes in between. So it is way easier to pick out when you have the score like this in front of you. So where do these three notes, this three note theme show itself in SOS in this part? Yeah, they're right there. That's da da da, and again here, and then again here, except plus a lot of extra baggage, like da. Right, but there they are tucked away in this mass of chaotic notes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. SOS also picks up on the key modulations that are in NEM. So this riff in Never-Ending Midnights also enacts a key modulation or two within a single bar by throwing in like a random accidental note in there. In SOS though, the modulations are done in a similar way, accidentals within notes of each other that change the tonality of the key, but there are more than say like 2 key modulations and they are more complex. So that is one thing that explains why NEM flows so well onto SOS. But another thing is also really important, and that is their home keys. So the keys that both NEM and SOS are written in. Turns out that they are related. And based on how Inotac has related them, plus some of the things we've discussed so far, like the development of common themes and motifs that are repeated from one track to another, I'm going to try and predict what key the next track is in. So, Allegro. I'm pretty sure I can pin down what key it's going to be in based on how these first 2 songs are related. I feel I should bet something just to raise the stakes a little. I will bet all the money in my wallet that I can get the key signature of Allegro right. That would be probably like $5. How am I going to do this? To sort of predict what the next track will be, like what key it'll be in, we need to sort of rewind a bit and go back to some basic music theory concepts. So I will put these away for now and pull up another. I'm going to pull up what we call the circle of fifths. Okay, do not panic if it seems like just a mass of symbols that you don't understand. It's fine. So first thing, what is a key signature? Key signature, basically, which are what these things are on the outside are. They tell you how many sharps, or in this case flats, there are in the song that you're playing or singing. So basically which notes are in your song. And each key signature has certain relationships with other key signatures that are more significant for various reasons. In music, we use this, what we call like the circle of fifths, to show these special relationships. So the key things to know are the letters around this wider circle, this outside circle. They are the 12 chromatic pitches of the Western music scale, arranged by perfect fifths. What that means is, for example, we'll start with C, right up here. 5 notes above C is G. 5 notes above G is D, and so on and so forth. The outer circle with the capital letters are the major scales, the happy sounding scales, and then the ones on the inside with the smaller letters are your minor scales. So second important thing to know, major and minor scales. Major on the outside, minor on the inside. Third thing, probably the last thing you need to know, the closer the keys are to each other on the circle, the more related they are. Specifically, take for example the Never Ending Midnights, whose home key was actually C sharp minor. So this group of adjacent key signatures are what we call closely related keys to C sharp minor. And it is often that composers will use these closely related keys to form connections within songs as well as between songs when they're trying to compose larger movements and suites that are made up of individual pieces. So because we have gambled a huge fortune of $5 on this, How would we ensure the best possible odds of winning this bet of rightly guessing the home key of Allegro without having ever heard it? Step one would be to confirm that Inotac is in fact carrying on the tradition of all the great classical composers by unifying a set of songs through common themes and also closely related keys. If we can do that, then we can narrow our chances down theoretically to 1 in 6. So that is the home key of Neverending Midnights plus the 5 related keys around it, instead of, just randomly throwing a dart at this circle of fifths and hoping that that is our key. I think step one is fairly easy because we've already seen that Inotac is using a bunch of closely related keys in both NEM and SOS. So if hang on, let me just delete these. Clean slate. So if we started with NEM, whose home key was in the C sharp minor, and then remember we analyzed the strings section, the crazy bit, and found that the bass was playing in F sharp minor. So that was NEM as well, while Sui's backup vocals, I think in the second chorus, we're singing mostly in E major. So from the circle of fifths, we can see that F sharp minor is indeed a closely related key. It's a perfect fifth below C sharp minor. And then likewise, E major is the relative major of C sharp minor. And what that means is just that it has the same number of sharps as C sharp minor. And that's what this number here indicates, the 4 sharps. It just means that both C sharp minor and E major have 4 sharps. So already we've hit like 3 out of 6 related keys. And I guess the evidence grows when you consider that SOS's home key is another related key, the B major. So SOS is down here, which is the relative major key of G sharp minor, which is the minor dominant of C sharp minor. So Allegro's home key should be one of these 6 keys. Unless Inotac throws a curveball, which he totally could. But I still don't think it's good enough odds, which is why step 2 is to eliminate even more choices by identifying the musical form that Inotac is going for. So what I think he's going for is actually to complete the Sonata-allegro form that started with NEM, was developed in SOS, and will finish with Allegro. And if so, then my bet is that Allegro goes back either to the C sharp minor or its relative major, the E major. Before I explain my bet, what is Sonata-allegro form and why am I nerding out so badly over it? Like, why does it matter? It probably doesn't matter, but if this works out, I think it would prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Inotac is for sure a classical music nerd. But more importantly, it would also give weight to why MGO named their album Overture and why the songs connect so well. Also, though they are songs obviously made for a modern audience, if this turns out to be the case, then they would have borrowed very complex compositional structures that are several centuries old. And I guess that is what excites me. It's that connection to the past, that there is this Japanese composer working with a VTuber to reimagine a really, really old musical form in a fresh way. And even if I am just being totally crazy and seeing things that aren't there, this gives me a rare excuse to rant about classical music, so I'm just going to take it and run with it. So sonata form is the preeminent musical structure that came out of the 18th century classical period and then was solidified in 19th century romantic period. It was developed by guys like Haydn and Mozart and Beethoven and became a feature of almost every type of classical composition since then, not just for solo works, but also for orchestral and even some vocal works. And it is known for its drama and excitement. and because of that is often used in the first movement of a multi-movement piece. Some people go so far as to call it the first movement form. Many overtures are written in sonata form, which is why the way that Inotac potentially has used this form intrigues me. Another common name for it is Sonata-allegro form, because opening movements are often set to a fast tempo, but again, that is not always the case. So sonata form basically consists of three main parts. The exposition, which introduces the main musical themes, the development, which develops those themes, but often in extremely altered, intense, and chaotic ways, which is what SOS did. And then finally, there is the recapitulation, which I suspect is what Allegro will provide. So this would be NEM as the exposition, SOS the development, and then Allegro as recapitulation. So the recapitulation repeats the themes of the exposition, sometimes in a different form, but with the ultimate purpose of resolving any residual conflict that's left over from the exposition and just bringing things back to the home key. Together, the three sections are meant to give a sense of both contrast and balance. So like a sense of symmetry. And a large part of how they do that is through structured key modulations. And to hugely and grossly simplify, in standard sonata form, the exposition starts in the home key, so that's the one here. It then modulates to the dominant in the development, or the note that's 1/5 above the home key, and then eventually returns to the home key in the recapitulation. And like there is a lot of complicated modulations that can happen in between, and we could discuss for days all of the different variations on the standard sonata form, because a lot of them do weird things that elaborate on or even stray outside of this basic structure. But let's just use the basics to work out an educated guess or a gamble. Also, because I think Overture only follows very loosely the sonata form, which makes sense because you can't really shoehorn modern pop music into it exactly. It would be kind of impossible to. All right, let's try and work this out. So with NEM's home key being C# minor, you would expect that in the development it would gravitate around its dominant, which is the G# minor. So the scale that's 1/5 above C# minor. But that is not actually what SOS did. SOS was actually written in G# minor's relative major, B major. Remember, if we go back to the circle of fifths chart, the B major shares the same key signature as the G# minor, so it's the relative major. So, by process of just wild extrapolation, I'm going to put my money on Allegro. Instead of recapitulating back to the C# minor, which was introduced in the exposition, I'm going to put my money on the fact that it'll go to, again, to the relative major. So, relative major of C# minor is E major. So that's our bet. That's where our $5 is going. Aside from the wild extrapolation from how SOS went, we did hear bits of E major in Sui's backup vocals in NEM, and also just it's not out of the realm of possibility that a minor form sonata, which is what a minor form sonata is, just a sonata that starts with a minor scale, that would maintain its trajectory towards the relative major, even in the recapitulation, especially with like late romantic period and modern pieces. Basically, I can explain myself very well. To put it simply, I just think that given how it's sort of already strayed outside of the standard sonata form in this way, I think it'll just maintain its path towards staying in a major key. technically, if I was smart, I'd probably split my money between C sharp minor and E major, but that is not the way of a true gambler. So we're going to go all or nothing, all $5 on the E major. I think that's it. If you stuck around for this mini rant about the sonata form, wow, like I don't expect most people to stick around because this is dense, super boring music theory stuff that only I would find interesting. But if you did stick around, I hope you got something out of it. It is rare these days to come across composers of modern pop who incorporate elements of just mainstay classical music structures. I suppose Inotac isn't your typical composer, given he has taken like the orchestral route. So even if a song, I guess my final message is like, even if a song like SOS or NEM or whatever isn't your cup of tea, or if, for example, like the chorus of SOS may prove to be controversial, at the very least, I think we can appreciate the obvious thought that went into constructing these songs in a thematically and harmonically cohesive yet contrasting way. All right, let's see if we're about to win big or say goodbye to that $5. Here we go, track 3, Allegro. Yep. Da, da, da. Allegro confirmed to be an E major. Hey. Damn, so that means Inotac really completing that Sonata-allegro form with a track entitled Allegro. The music nerd inside me is just exploding with unmitigated joy. I'm kind of just, to be honest, breathing a sigh of relief that I didn't just waste a whole hour digging through my old music theory notes. Honestly, there was a fear in the back of my mind that everything up until SOS had been pure coincidence and Inotac had zero structural designs for this album, and that I was just being an insane music conspiracy theorist. I think we can safely say though that that is not the case. You know, there was some kind of grand design for this album. Hey! Okay, now just we gotta sit back and just enjoy this track and maybe listen out for some repeated themes now that, you know, we can kind of say that Allegro will be the recapitulation. This melodic line is interesting. It's like a very similar interval structure to SOS, like almost identical. The da 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 da. Also, it's very like drum and bass type track with this percussion line. Oh, there's the sa. Allegro. That's cute. Nice. Oh, I like this track a lot. I like how this instrumental is incorporating that melodic theme. Oh, but I mean, that was a very, very 312-esque sort of breakdown, like those last few notes. in the solo. Whoa. Nice. There's that like stop-start percussion. It kind of reminds me of the one that was in Never-Ending Midnights. Whoa. Just like... Okay, here we go. Oh. That was a nice breathing space there. Oh, that snare just got murdered. Like that. And then a lot of elements that were in SOS that they're kind of redoing in a different way here. Oh, nice, sweet. Finally get some like, you know, explosive notes from her. Okay. I like this one. Probably better than SOS. I feel very resolved and satisfied. As its own song, I really enjoyed Allegro. I am happy that Inotac chose to write this in a major key. You know, after the heaviness of Never-Ending Midnights and then just the chaos of SOS, it was nice to have like a bright, cheerful song. It just felt like a breath of fresh air. At the same time, there were obvious thematic continuations in Allegro that really tied together these three tracks so well and made obvious the connections between the three. And of course, in an ode to music notes everywhere, it fits in really well with the role that a recapitulation has in a three like section sonata form movement. So yeah, I feel like we got that resolution in Allegro. I feel if I spent hours picking through and picking apart these three songs, we'd find all sorts of interesting connections between them. But I'll just point to a couple of things besides the home key of Allegro being an E major that neatly places Allegro as the resolving recapitulation of a three-piece movement that started with NEM. First of all, most important thing, like the sa is back and stronger than ever. In Allegro, specifically, the several notes leading up to the sa are very similar to the ones that we heard in NEM. So in Allegro, it's these upcoming notes. And then the sa. Da 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 da. So the da. In NEM, you get a very similar progression that also ends on that G sharp. The da. If we go to a bit earlier, those notes. Da 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 da. Very similar progression to Allegro, and then you get like a series of variations on those notes before the big sa. Okay, there is a key difference though between the notes proceeding up to the sa, is that in NEM, those notes lead to this dissonance, which we've already covered. Yep. However, in Allegro, those notes instead lead to the main melodic theme, which is made up of interval jumps heading towards the home key. and eventually landing on that home key. So the home key, remember, is E major. So this melodic line is actually heading towards the E, which is the home note. That's the E. It ends on the E, the home. So basically it goes home. In other words, well, NEM sort of, by leading into the dissonance, points towards the chaos of SOS, while Allegro, by having that same melodic progression or similar melodic progression head towards home, in that sense resolves the chaos that was in SOS. Speaking of Suisei's melodic line, which is also very present in the instrumentation, it immediately jumped out to me that the string of notes that she sings in Allegro mirrors almost exactly the notes that she sings in SOS, the Singing in the Rain ones. So here is Allegro's main melodic theme, played like in slow motion. Hang on, go. Yep, and then this is the SOS ones. So basically the melodic theme that she keeps singing over and over again. Yeah, very, very similar note progressions. But what's cool is that they are actually sort of written as equal and opposite reactions to each other. And what I mean by that is, if you take the set of notes that mirror each other, so in Allegro it would be these ones, da 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 da, and then in SOS it's actually da 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 da, the Singing in the Rain ones, and you draw out the melodic shape, starting from the G sharp. What you get is, for Allegro, it's da 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 da, and then SOS is actually da 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 da. So it forms a really nice, as I said, equal and opposite reaction, and you get this nice mirrored shape. And again, just reaffirming that Allegro is resolving the conflict and the dissonance that was contained in SOS, and also taking certain melodic elements that were in SOS and sort of flipping them around, which it's a very music nerd thing to appreciate, but it is so cool how Inotac incorporated those common but flipped themes. Okay, track 4, finally. A Tat. Okay. Very funky. Yep. So different to the first 3 tracks. And Sui sounds as good as always. Oh, it's kind of like muted, distorted strings. There we go. Da. Okay, so this is also quite a repetitive chorus. Oh, okay, so that was like the end of the first chorus. I mean, you know, first thought that popped into my head as soon as I heard the first couple of bars was like Canned Heat by Jamiroquai. Like just really similar elements. Like that funk beat with that kind of bass for sure, but also like the synth strings and the way that they slide up. They become a bit clearer here. Yeah, the synth strings. Just like very Jamiroquai style. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, actually. It's very like classic funk bass line. Dun, 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 dun. It's kind of like very formulaic funk song. Okay. Yeah, Sui sounds great. Oh, there we go. I was like, I'm smiling because I was like, when are we gonna get either a like really psyched up instrumental with the crazy runs or some kind of trap breakdown? And then we got the latter, like with those trap hi-hats just inserted in there. I like the mutedness here. Okay, man, they minced those drums. It's like very vibey kind of song. It's really tame compared to like Neverending Midnights and even SOS. All right. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this one other than just it's another solo track that I could vibe to. It also feels like a turning point in the album because it really it breaks away from the structure and sort of the shared themes of the first 3 tracks, unless, I don't know, it's really tucked away deep down in the chord progressions. But yeah, it doesn't jump out to me immediately that there is any obvious connection. There probably is, but yeah, maybe it is meant to be like a clean section break. You know, not everything has to be related. Like, we don't have to go all music conspiracy theorist every single time. Yeah, so yeah, let's just put it down as like a smooth funk pop track with strong, I mean, potentially Jamiroquai or even just like Earth, Wind and Fire influences. So yeah, decent track. again, with the chorus, like I'm noticing a pattern in the choruses of these couple of tracks where Suisei, you know, she shares an equal spotlight with the instruments, and a lot of times she will get just like repetitive phrases or notes to sing, and she takes turns with the instrumentation. So I mean, that's been an interesting difference with these tracks that we've had on Overture as compared to like Still Stella, for example. Track 5, Tuning, which is the interlude. So here we go. Oh my god. Oh, what a beautifully toned violin. And of course the piano runs. Oh man. Oh, that was a nice lead into the next track. I can't believe he actually did that though. It's like possibly my favorite track so far. I'm not even kidding. Seriously, it just made me so happy that Inotac is a big enough music nerd to compose like an exquisite track based on the tuning process. Like, what is a very monotonous undertaking that all musicians have gone through hundreds, if not thousands of times. I will drink to this. Like, that was just a pure shot of joy. Well done, Inotac. Like, oh man, I'm just it's so surprising and also sort of a genius move there. That was cool. Okay, straight on to track 6. Let's go. I can't. So I can read it in Chinese, but I don't know the Japanese pronunciation for it. Ryuseigun. Okay. Oh yeah, the previous interlude would have led very smoothly into this. Definitely stepped into the chill part of the album. Kinda sounds like a laid-back version of 312. The harp finally makes an appearance. It's actually so nice hearing Sui sing like this and even just hear the breaths that she's taking. It's been a while. Nice. Like, she's not, it's just her voice really that's being featured. Okay. Although still using like sort of repetitive interval structures. Here we go. It's very Inotac flavored instrumental. Okay. Whoa, okay. I just want to say again, the ending of that phrase was almost straight out of 312, and I feel like I've said that already before in another track. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. Yeah, it's just the way that he arranges the notes, the kind of progression he uses. It's actually quite similar from track to track. I mean, whether that's a good or bad thing, I guess depends on your perspective. It's like wave sounds. Nice. I wish you'd given the violin a solo part. That was a beautiful, like, string melodic line right there. Okay, nice ending chord on that E flat. I wonder if that's the next key. Is it? I mean, that was the relatively longer track. I think it's a pretty solid one. I feel I've been using the word solid a lot for most of the tracks on this album. When I say solid, I kind of mean like, yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, nothing like absolutely mind-blowing, but it's something nice you can listen to. Yeah, for most of the tracks, I feel like it's sort of had that feeling. Other than the first one, Never Ending Midnights, which just smashed and hit me like a bullet train. So yeah, this track just like a typical soft, chill R&B track with a signature Inotac synth keyboard solo thrown in there for good measure. I do appreciate, let me just see. So this piece was in the same key that the interlude ended in. And it just leads very smoothly in from the interlude into this track. Yeah, it also, like, in a similar way to the first half of the album, so like the Sonata-allegro form part, the first 3 tracks, Ryuseigun, I really should look up like the Japanese kanji. Just give me a second. Okay, so it's Ryuseigun. There were themes in the tuning interlude after the initial tuning part that are then repeated in Ryuseigun, which makes for, you know, really, again, continuing on that trait of connected themes from track to track. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Da 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 da, which is exactly what Suisei sings here in the chorus. There we go. So she's singing what the string instruments were playing in the tuning. Yeah, so again, it's really cool. Like, I will always appreciate when composers take the time to incorporate common melodic and harmonic themes so that you just get a more coherent feeling when you transition between tracks. All right, I feel the last track has snuck up on us pretty quickly. I've also updated my drink counter, so we're on 2 at the moment, and that is more in line with a normal count. Like, for a 7-track album, one of which is an interlude, that's pretty decent, 2 drinks. So let's see what Highway has to show us. So. Okay. Highway something something. Quite repetitive. Just waiting for something to happen. Oh, there are the Inotac strings. Da, 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 da. Okay. It's a lot of thoughts that I'm trying to articulate. Maybe I'll keep it for the end, but first off, I feel like we've time traveled back to the late 2000s, early 2010s with this song. Like, as soon as I heard the guitar riff from the beginning, like with the, especially with this slightly muted guitar strum, I was like, yep, that's Taylor Swift's love song. Actually, let's play it here at the risk of, you know, I don't know, my stream, well, not my stream, my video being banned, but love song, Taylor Swift. Sorry, not love song, love story. Sorry, I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, so I'm not really, It's that same muted guitar strum. And then, except instead of like a twangy banjo, in Highway we have like a more electronic synths doing the melodic backup. Hang on. Yeah, it's so similar. Even Sui's melodic line, like, it is very Taylor Swifty in that it steps up or steps down the scale in a simple and quite repetitive way in the verse. And then, if we're going to go according to the Taylor Swift tried and tested formula, the chorus itself will add a bit more dynamic, but it will also be very repetitive. And then again, and then it's just, yeah. Okay. I mean, who knows? Highway might surprise yet. You can tell. Oh no, you can probably tell by the way I'm describing this sort of song that I'm not and was never like a late 2000s Swiftie fan. I love her recent stuff, but yeah, it's fascinating that Inotac decided to throw this kind of song right at the end. It's a curveball, at least to me, especially when compared to the earlier tracks. It's actually a little bit confusing, but yeah, I mean, we'll just roll with it. The upcoming strings section, oh, okay, so it repeats a couple more times. Man, that 4, 5, 6, 1 chord progression. Okay, this part, I don't know, like, for once I'm gonna say it's not great. Yeah, like this whole string section where it's very Inotac style. It's very like flourished and performative, but for some reason, and I kind of know what it is, but we'll probably just keep going until the end before I explain why. I'm just not liking it that much. Yeah, especially that. Da, 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 da. Interesting. We'll just keep going. Right, every single beat. Let's do that bass drum. It's bass drum creating a lot of tension, just relying on that bass. Sui's melodic line is super repetitive as well, yeah. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 1. 4, 5, 6, 1. 4, 5, and repeat and repeat and repeat. And that's the end of Overture. Okay, all right. Look, I won't say it's a terrible track. It's not a terrible track. It's just odd. I think that's the word I would use to describe it. It's odd. Just fitting it in the whole scheme of these 7 tracks. This track sticks out like a sore thumb. I think this may be my least favorite. This is not maybe, this is definitely my least favorite track. Like, and in an album of any decent length, there is going to be at least one track that doesn't stand out for you or do it for you. And this one, though, I think it combined several compositional choices that felt quite generic, such that taken as a whole, because you had like 3 or 4 very generic compositional choices, the whole thing became overly generic. Again, I think if I just shut out or shut down that part of my brain that's not analyzing chord progressions and melodic structure, it's a song you can totally vibe to or play while driving down the highway. It's probably at sunset because it's just that kind of vibe. The last part, so when I kept singing the 4, 5, 6, 1 chord progression, again, just reminding us that for some reason, Inotac is taking us all the way back to the late 2000s, early 2010s. So many songs in that era used this chord progression. Actually, we'll bring up some of those songs. Classic example is Bad Romance by Lady Gaga. I think it's like sorry, let me check. 2009 song. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6. That switches it up there. But yeah, just 4, 5, 6. Get the idea. The other one was like Pink. Who knew? Again, oh my gosh, it's actually also 2009. So 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6, 1. Oh man, there's just like literally thousands of songs that are like that. Back to Highway though, you know what I think one of the reasons why it's not hitting for me is that the 4, 5, 6, 1 progression is used in the introduction, during the verse, I think, and in the chorus. Like, it is everywhere and pervasive, which just makes it too much for me. 4, 5. Actually, oh, so what it's doing is 4, 6, 1, 4, 6, 1. So what it does is it kind of changes the progression by cutting out the 5, but essentially it's the same progression here in the verse. 4, 5. Oh, they've added the 5 now. And then in the pre-chorus, 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 5, 6, 1. Wait, I don't even know. I mean, this is the pre-chorus, I guess, and the chorus is that string section. Yeah, I mean, main point is like that 4, 5, 6, 1 progression drives me personally a little nuts. Some people love it, so it is definitely a subjective choice. Again, if you don't mind repetitiveness, it's absolutely fine. Also, I mean, just realizing structurally it's really weird as well. And I'm not sure in a good way, because I like weird structure. Like, I'm all for it. It's just with Highway, you got the introduction here. You have what sounds like a verse here. This is either a pre-chorus or a chorus in one. But then you have a random early instrumental with that random string section. This bit. And so you think after this crazy instrumental, you know, go back to a verse 2 or something. But instead of going back to a verse 2, it immediately launches into this another super intense section. Dun 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 dun. With this, it's almost like we got propelled, rocketed into like the final like peak in the middle of the song, or like almost at the midpoint of the song after not really having any sort of development before that. So yeah, I think that is why it just sounded so jarring. And then this is just like another verse. I don't know. Also, there was another song, I think it was Allegro, that had that similar dun 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 with the bass. Yeah. To create that tension, just the bass drum kicking in on every single beat. So similar, but I found Allegro a lot more enjoyable, I think, because it's not so formulaic and generic to me, and everything else about this intense part, Sui's vocal line, she's literally going da 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 da, like she's singing it great, with lots of strength and power, but I don't think there's anything any singer could do with that melody line. It's literally just like really, I'm going to say it, just a really boring kind of melody that's meant to be like that peak intensity of the song. It's just weird choices. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, this string section that's gonna be coming up. Okay, I like, why am I not feeling this string section? And just preface this by saying it is only my personal opinion. Fellow Hashimis, please forgive me. If you do love this track, no worries. Like, this is just me explaining why I don't like it. I think for this string section in particular, there are 3 reasons why it just threw me off and was like, ugh. Like, one, it just felt jarring to have it suddenly shoved in there. Like, in the moment, it felt like Inotac was like, oh shit, like I gotta put something in there that lets people know that this is my song, not just another Taylor Swift-esque love song. Because the tone just suddenly flips from this very like 2010 sort of feel to this like, oh god, okay, oh, it's Inotac, okay. Almost like he's trying to like stamp his signature on, which he does in other tracks, but not in such a jarring way that doesn't fit really with the rest of the song. That's the first reason. The second reason, this one's kind of harder to explain. So this string section, it contains some compositional cliches that I'm quite surprised are here. How to say this? So back in the day when me and my musician mates actually had time to compose our own stuff, because we had lives back then, you know, didn't have to pay bills yet. And we wanted to compose some angsty shit, right? It's teenage angsty shit. You'd have things just really cliche type intervals and progressions you'd use. So for example, da 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 da. Super cliche, just not the most sophisticated composition techniques. You get better the more you do it. But in Highway, that's why it was so surprising to me that these things kind of pop up quite a bit. To me, the most cliche bits were like around here. Yeah. Da 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 da, literally like broken arpeggios down. This part. Da da da. Da 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 da. Man, it's a classic. It's jarring because the same guy who composed the other tracks in Overture, which contain highly sophisticated instrumentals, then goes ahead and drops Highway, which just takes a massive HP hit in terms of compositional sophistication. And it's not even complexity, because you can have something that's very simple but very sophisticated. Highway, however, though in some ways that instrumental solo is like classic Inotac, with the runs up and down the scale, or like the stopping short of the full scale by one note, or just going over it by one note, there are too many other parts of the piece that fall back on overused and just kind of stale gimmicks to manufacture emotion. This is not really something that's taught in music class. It's just the more experience you are in music, the more your ears are tuned to things that are too on the nose, or just less sophisticated ways of conveying the emotion you're trying to convey. Having said all that, it's not a terrible track. It's not a track that I would listen to again if I had a choice. But as I said before, I reckon if I could just shut down all of the parts of my brain that remember, compositional techniques, chord progressions, what is cliche and what is not, and just pure vibe to this song, I think that would be fine. But yeah, music analysis is gonna do what music analysis does. So yeah, in conclusion, not my favorite track on this album, but hey, it's, as I always say, respect to all of the work that goes behind even just putting together a track. So yeah, can't fault that. Okay, so we're done with the album, but we still have 2 more MVs to check out, and the first one is SOS of SOS fame. So there we go. Oh, it's beautiful already. It kind of looks dystopic. Also, that view is amazing. Whoa. It's like futuristic Tokyo. Oh, so the alarm is in her head. Like, she is not the alarm. Wait, carry an allegro on a... Is the machine gun allegro? Oh, okay. I mean... yeah, bye. Wait, is she gonna kill Inotac with allegro? Is that what she's aiming at? Oh, is it like an artistic interpretation of his work? Like, it took him, I don't know, obviously composers put blood, sweat and tears into their works. The album took so much out of him that it's like, allegro is killing him, trying to get the Sonata-allegro form in shape. just about killed him. But why is Sui killing him? Okay, should just watch it. Why were there like meatballs on sticks? And cats. Also, I didn't really notice this too much before, but the harmonies that Sui's doing are really great. Is this some kind of like political statement? Feels like that definitely looks like some kind of protest of some sort. No. Oh, okay, no, she's not killing Inotac. She's shooting it off somewhere else. Oh my god, those backgrounds, amazing. So she repeats the words. I love how that is allegro. I mean, the chaos of this setting definitely matches with the chaos and the dissonance in the track itself. Rolling eyeballs. I feel like this is like Illuminati level type conspiracy theorist symbolism. I would love to know, like, if there's definitely like inside jokes and stuff in here, right? Inotac. Of course, there's a motorcycle, and he's in a sidecar. I love that. He's like, there's no way it's gonna be Suisei in the sidecar. That's against the law. Interesting. Man, the quality of that MV was just off the charts. Hey, that's the start of NEM. Why are there so many fours? Isn't that like bad luck? Oh. Even just hearing that like stomping and the boom, C-sharp minor, just give me chills. Yeah, what's with all the fours? That's like death. I don't know. Again, don't know enough about Hololive or Suisei or Inotac to really tell what secret message lies in the string of numbers. But yeah, that's a great video. Man, I loved like the futuristic setting of everything. I loved finding out that Allegro, which lives on Suisei's back, is actually this badass looking, I wouldn't even call it a machine gun, it's like a Final Fantasy type weapon that emits comets, I guess. In a bout of irony, because I said I wouldn't listen to Highway if I had a choice, we're going to be watching the MV for Highway. And judging by just how the background looks here, it looks like it's a continuation of the SOS MV. So there you go. Okay, so they've been driving for a while and now it's time to just kind of chill and enjoy the scenery while you're on the road. Whoa. This is riding towards the sun. It's chaos everywhere. That background looks like the visual representation of NEM and SOS put together. This is like a metaphor for life. Like just keep on that road while shit blows up around you. She hates mornings so much. I love that that theme has been kept consistent even in the Midnight Grand Orchestra pairing. Hello, I'll disappear. Hello, goodbye. I mean, she is a comet, so they don't really last for so long. What is she receiving? Is Allegro ready? Oh, this MV makes the music so much better. Ah, okay. Bass. Representing their heartbeats getting faster. Who is that? Dragon. Is that all the Hoshiyomis, like on those spaceships? Just traveling alongside Suisei? So he's looking at those falling comets. Those are all the falling... What are they? They're comets, but they're made up of something weird. That highway? Man. How much budget went into these MVs? That's incredible. Yo, I loved that. Wait, where are they going? Yeah, infinitely better with the MV, I have to say. That brings us to the end of the Overture analysis. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. It has been a fun album to dig into for a music nerd like me. For a 7-track album, 2 drinks is pretty decent, especially as one of those drinks took place in the middle of the interlude and just fully activated my nerd brain neurons. And the other drink has resulted in like a permanent, if like a tiny dent in the stair railing that I smashed into because of Never Ending Midnights. So final thoughts. From a bird's eye view, the production quality in Overture was pretty much flawless. The orchestra backing was excellent as always, and the conscious effort to incorporate things like the Sonata-allegro form and relate different songs in meaningful ways was very much appreciated. Because of how the songs flow one onto the other, especially the first half of the album, which I think was the much stronger half, it is very much like a full album experience that I think would suffer a little bit if you took the songs out of order. except Highway. Like, I still can't get over how random Highway felt in that sequence of tracks. And in terms of, as I said, the compositional quality and balance. In terms of Suisei's involvement, as long as you accept that she is not front and center in most of these tracks, and in fact sometimes even takes a backseat to the instrumentation, you'll be much less disappointed, potentially. The thing with Inotac's work that I worry about, no, worry is way too strong a word. It's more that I'm curious how Midnight Grand Orchestra is going to branch out from here. Clearly, Inotac drives the composition of the songs, and I found that for this album, while most of the tracks are pretty solid, except for Highway, again, in my humble opinion, the overall feeling I get is, it was okay. Like, it was pretty good. It's not, oh my god, this is a fantastic album. It's like a couple of notches down from that. And also that there are no more surprises to be had, really. Like with Inotac tracks, once you've listened to a good few, you start to pick up on the formula he tends to stick to, regardless of whether it's a slow, a mid, or a fast song. It's the mixing, the melodic interval choices, the harmonies, the direction and the tone and the shape of the instrumental solos that he always, puts in there. At this point, it's all getting a little bit predictable. The only track that really transcended those bounds and were I to listen to again would still hit my soul is Neverending Midnights. To be fair, you never retain 100% the magic of the very first time you hear someone's style. Having said that though, like when I listen to Stella Stella on repeat, even now, to this day, I am still very much struck by how great of a song it is. Stella Stella, in my opinion, is just one of those tracks one writes that becomes a massive success and is legitimately as close to perfection as you can get it. And then you struggle with how to follow that. However, like I do appreciate though that Overture didn't feel like it was trying to replicate Stella Stella times 7 or en masse and was really trying to forge its own path, which I respect a lot. It's just, if I may let my Hoshiomi side out a little more, I think the album would have had greater staying power if the songs had utilized a lot more the rawness of Sui's voice and the emotion that she can put behind it. As always, I'd love to know what you guys thought. I always appreciate when people have different opinions to me, even if, and especially if you have no training in music. I am well aware that my background causes me to think about music in a certain way. It's not good or bad, it just is what it is. But it does make me want to seek out different voices so that I can look at the music from alternative perspectives. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna get myself ready for the live tonight, the live Midnight Grand Orchestra concert. It is gonna be my first paid online concert actually, so I'm super excited to see Suisei and Inotac and the rest of their awesome band live. I believe that you can still buy tickets, so please give your money to them. And that is it. Until the next Hololive analysis, guys, take care.